Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving deep today into a story that's got a little bit of everything. Big promises, influencer hype, and a whole lot of finger pointing when things went south.
Sounds juicy.
It is, it is. We're talking about Logan Paul's Crypto Zoo. You know, that NFT project that was supposed to be this fun way to earn some crypto.
Yeah, I remember that.
It ended up leaving a lot of people feeling burned. And we've got a mountain of sources here to try and figure out what exactly happened. So are you ready to unpack this?
Absolutely. I'm fascinated to see what we uncover.
Okay, so for those who might not remember all the details, let's start with the basics. So Crypto Zoo was supposed to be this play-to-earn game.
Play to earn, okay.
Yeah, so you buy NFT eggs, hatch them into what, like these crazy animal hybrids?
Oh, I've seen those, like a panda and a unicorn.
Exactly, a panda corn.
Right.
Or maybe a gore kitty from a gorilla and a kitten.
Why?
And depending on the rarity of the hybrid, you'd earn these zoo tokens. Logan Paul, the influencer behind it all, was really selling this idea of making money while having fun.
Right. And that pitch really seemed to work, especially with Logan trying to, rehab his image a bit after some of his past controversies.
For sure, people poured millions into it even before the game was actually up and running. I remember those early videos with Logan talking about how all the art was handmade and, how much effort was going into the development.
Oh, yeah, the handmade art, right.
But then things started to get a little fishy, I guess.
Oh, about that handmade art. One of the first red flags was that it wasn't actually handmade at all. It turned out to be stock images.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, so much for that meticulously crafted, unique game experience, huh?
Definitely not what people signed up for. And then there was this whole mystery surrounding the $1 million development cost they kept talking about.
$1 million.
Yeah, but when people started looking into it, digging into the blockchain and the smart contracts.
The smart contracts, those are like the rules of the game, right?
Yeah, exactly, like the lines of code that control how everything works. And when they analyzed those, well, the numbers just didn't add up. It didn't look like $1 million worth of work had gone into it.
So it's like they're saying they built this amazing house, but the foundation's made of cardboard.
Right. And the roof is leaking. Something just wasn't right. And then came the big day, hatch day, when everyone was supposed to be able to, well, hatch their eggs and start earning those zoo tokens.
Hatch day. I remember the hype.
Yeah, but guess what? It was a total disaster. People couldn't even hatch the eggs they'd bought with their ETH, let alone earn anything. Imagine putting your savings into this and then nothing.
Oh, man. That's rough.
We actually talked to one investor, Helicopter Bob, who lost almost $7,000. And for him, it wasn't even just about the money. It was about the broken promises.
So what happened then? Did Logan Paul address this?
Well, that's the thing, right? While this whole mess was going on, Logan basically went radio silent.
Really?
Yeah, minimal communication, like just a couple of Discord messages in a whole year.
Wow. Okay.
But his team kept saying this big marketing push was coming, led by Logan himself, but it never happened. So investors were just left hanging, totally in the dark about what was going on. Like they were stuck in this digital waiting room,
Yeah.
But they'd already paid to get in. And then just to make things worse, Logan started dropping hints about this other project he was working on, something soul-crushing. Everyone assumed it was Crypto Zoo, but nope, turned out to be completely different NFTs.
Oh, no. What were those called?
99 originals. Talk about adding insult to injury.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So investors are feeling abandoned, they've lost money, and they have no idea what's going on. And then Logan finally breaks his silence.
Right, and he comes up with this explanation. A rogue developer, he called him Z, stole the code and ran off to Switzerland, holding it hostage for $1 million ransom.
Hold on, wait. This is starting to sound like a movie plot.
I know, right? But it gets even wilder. This Z guy, his real name is Eddie Ibanez. He was introduced as this, like, tech genius, MIT grad, cybersecurity expert,
Yeah.
a whole 9 yards.
Okay, so the mastermind behind the whole thing.
Well, not so fast. We started digging into his background, and let's just say the truth was a little different.
Different how?
Well, the MIT degree, totally made up.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity expertise, highly exaggerated, to put it mildly. Unpaid rent, sketchy finances, we found red flags everywhere. Turns out this tech whiz had a bit of a history of stretching the truth.
Okay, so not exactly who he said he was. What else?
And the biggest bombshell, remember how Eddie played up this whole sob story about being an orphan?
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Well, guess what? His mom's alive and well. He was never an orphan. He just made it up to gain sympathy and trust.
Wow. It makes you wonder how much of Crypto Zoo was built on this kind of deception. Was Eddie just a scapegoat, or was something shadier going on?
That's the million-dollar question, literally. And to answer that, we need to go even deeper into the inner workings of the Crypto Zoo team.
Ooh, this is getting good. What did you find?
Well, let's just say it's a whole web of betrayal and blame shifting that makes this whole thing even more complicated than we thought.
I can't wait to hear about this.
Okay, so we've seen that Eddie, the supposed mastermind behind Crypto Zoo, wasn't exactly who he claimed to be. But as we dug deeper, things got even more dramatic. There was so much conflict within the Crypto Zoo team itself.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, there's this guy, Crypto King. He was an advisor on the project. And leaked messages show him accusing Logan Paul of stealing $40 million worth of Zoo tokens.
40 million? That's a pretty serious accusation.
Right. And you'd think he'd be, on the side of the investors trying to hold Logan accountable.
Yeah, you'd think so.
But here's the thing. Crypto King later claimed that he was a victim too.
Oh, how so?
Even though there's evidence that suggests he actually made millions selling his own Zoo tokens. So, is he a whistleblower? Or just another opportunist covering his tracks? It's hard to say.
It does make you think about the whole, the hero and villain narrative. Online, it can be so easy to fall into those simple categories.
It really is. And it's important to remember, especially in this story, that there were real people who got hurt.
Right.
Everyday people who put their savings into Crypto Zoo because they believed Logan Paul. We read so many heartbreaking stories.
Yeah.
People losing money they'd set aside for their kids, their retirement. It's a good reminder that crypto can be risky. And it's even riskier when you're just following what a celebrity is telling you to do.
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the hype, but you have to do your own research. Understand what you're actually investing in, and never, never invest more than you can afford to lose, because as we've seen, things can go wrong.
Yeah, I think a lot of people got swept up by Logan Paul's, that connection he builds with his audience,
Yeah.
that idea of authenticity, and then that trust was broken.
Right.
So it makes you wonder, was Crypto Zoo always a scam? Or was it just bad planning, inexperience, and maybe a bit too much ego? It's hard to know for sure without all the facts, but from what we can see, there's a lot of deception there.
Yeah, a real lack of transparency.
And then there's how Logan Paul responded to all of this, or really how he didn't respond. There are sources showing that his manager was more worried about damage control than making things right with the people who lost money. There's this leaked text from his manager, Jeff Levin, threatening to sue CoffeeZilla.
Oh, CoffeeZilla, the YouTuber who is investigating all this.
Yeah, exactly.
So trying to silence him instead of taking responsibility.
Basically. It makes you question their priorities, for sure.
It really does. I mean, it makes you wonder, do they care more about protecting their image than doing what's right?
And we haven't even talked about the legal side of things. There's actually a class action lawsuit against Logan Paul and his team. They're being accused of defrauding investors.
Oh, wow. So there could be some serious consequences.
Potentially. I mean, we're talking about financial fraud here. If it's proven that Crypto Zoo was designed to trick people, Logan Paul and his team could be in a lot of trouble.
I see. So this whole story is far from over, isn't it?
Not even close. Broken promises, accusations of theft, fake identities, and now legal battles. It's a wild ride, and we're not off the roller coaster yet. But before we get to all that, I think it's important to step back and think about the bigger picture. What can we actually learn from all of this?
Yeah, good point.
What does it mean for influencers, for marketing, and how can people protect themselves from this kind of thing in the future?
It's a lot to unpack, but important questions to consider.
Okay, so we've really gone through it all, haven't we?
Yeah.
From that initial excitement around Crypto Zoo to, this whole mess and everyone pointing fingers. What can we learn from all this?
A lot, actually. I think the biggest takeaway for me is just how important it is to do your research, especially with investments, whether it's crypto or NFTs or anything that's promising you those big returns. You really can't just take things at face value. You can't just trust what you're seeing on social media or what some influencer is telling you.
Right. It's so easy to get swept up in the hype, especially when you see someone you like promoting something.
Yeah.
But you got to take a step back. Think about it. Ask yourself, what's the actual value here? What are the risks? And can I actually afford to lose this money if things go bad?
Exactly. And a big part of that is, actually understanding the technology. In this case, a lot of people investing in CryptoZoo didn't really seem to get how NFTs work or what smart contracts are even.
So are you saying we all need to become like blockchain experts before we buy any crypto?
No, not necessarily experts, but you should at least understand the basics, right? The
Uh,
technology, the risks. And there's so much information out there now, videos, articles, forums where you can learn all that.
right. Knowledge is power. And speaking of power, what about the power of influencers? We've seen how Logan Paul's endorsement brought all these people to CryptoZoo. Do you think this whole thing is going to change how we see influencer marketing?
I think it should, definitely. I mean, this whole case really shows how much damage can be done when influencers push these financial products, without being clear about the risks. Sometimes they might not even understand the risks themselves.
It's true. It's like with great power comes great responsibility, right? Maybe we need more accountability from influencers, especially when they're promoting something that could really hurt people financially.
Definitely. And I think we as consumers need to be smarter too, more careful about who we trust. Just because someone has a lot of followers, it doesn't mean they're an expert, or that they actually care about what happens to you.
Yeah, it all comes back to thinking for yourself,
Hmm.
being a little skeptical, especially when something seems too good to be true, because we've seen how those shiny promises can lead to some pretty bad outcomes.
It's true. But, even with all the bad stuff, all the finger pointing, there's a little bit of hope here too, I think.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, the fact that we're all talking about this, that people are demanding answers, that's a good thing. It means people are becoming more aware. They're not just blindly following the hype anymore.
Yeah, it's like CryptoZoo was a wake-up call, not just for investors, but for the whole influencer industry.
Exactly. And maybe, hopefully, it'll lead to some positive changes, more transparency, more responsible endorsements, and in the end, a better, safer crypto space for everyone.
Well said. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the CryptoZoo saga. It's been a wild one, that's for sure, full of twists and turns and more than a few head-scratching moments.
Definitely. But like we've been saying, there are some important lessons here. Due diligence, critical thinking, and a healthy dose of skepticism. Those are all key if you're going to navigate this crazy world of cryptocurrency.
So as you're out there exploring the digital world, remember the CryptoZoo story. Ask questions. Don't take things at face value. Do your own research. And never, ever invest more than you can afford to lose.
And if something just doesn't feel right, trust your gut, rock away. There will always be other opportunities. And nothing is more important than protecting yourself.
Couldn't agree more. Well, that's all from us for today. We hope you found this deep dive informative and maybe even a little bit entertaining.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And keep the conversation going. Let us know what you think about CryptoZoo, influencer marketing, whatever's on your mind. We'd love to hear from you.